and have integrity and discipline. Where was it at?
He was back there.
Yeah, I don't think there's no gap with the vast American.
A minute here. Good afternoon. I have two announcements to make this afternoon. I want to remind you that Secretary Cohen is in California today, both San Diego and Coronado. While in San Diego, he'll visit with sailors in the Combat Directions Center aboard the cruiser SHILOH, and while there'll be a media availability following that at 1 p.m. Pacific time. This evening in Coronado at the Hotel Del, he'll provide the keynote address at the International Institute for Strategic Studies annual conference dinner. He'll speak at about 8 p.m. Pacific time on the topic of Kosovo lessons learned. We will have a blue topper at DDI following the brief today that will be embargoed until 11 p.m. our time, East Coast time, tonight, until Secretary Cohen has completed giving those remarks. And second, a senior Defense Department official will provide a background briefing on Secretary Cohen's upcoming trip to Russia, 10:30 tomorrow morning in this room. Secretary is scheduled to leave on September 12th, this coming Sunday, and we'll have discussions on the status of cooperation in Kosovo, defense re-engagement, and strategic issues including Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, and national missile defense. Secretary is then scheduled to return late in the evening on the 14th, on Tuesday. And with those two announcements, prepared to take your questions. Charlie.
Craig, could you bring us up to stuff on Indonesia? What's happening in Indonesia?
East Timor,
any ships
sure.
at East Timor? Any ships that we might have in the region? Any plans we're making?
There are a total of 3 ships that are either in the immediate vicinity or en route. The cruiser Mobile Bay is in Darwin. The destroyer O'Brien is in Darwin, and the ammunition ship Kilauea is en route from her home port of Guam. As we have said before, we fully expect that the Indonesian government and military has the full responsibility to control the situation. It's within their ability to do so, and I think that's what the international community expects it to do. We remain very engaged at a variety of levels within the government with their respective counterparts in the Indonesian government and military to express that view just as clearly as we possibly can.
Have you gotten any clear message from the Indonesian military that they intend to do this?
Admiral Denny Blair is the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Command. He met with General Rowanto, who is the Chief of Defense for the Indonesian military, and he has officially announced that, delivering a message that we are suspending our military-to-military relationship with the Indonesian military in light of the current activities.
Including the invitation to General Rowanto to a meeting in Hawaii next month.
I believe so, yes.
What does that mean, suspending the military-to-military relationship? What's involved in that?
We have a military-to-military relationship with a variety of countries around the world. Each is tailored to that particular nation. But with Indonesia, as it is with many other countries, it had been exercise planning, exercise execution, typically on humanitarian aid, civil defense, issues of that nature. But that has now been suspended in light of the current situation.
Craig, how is this different from what happened last year when the Pentagon suspended joint training exercises last year? How is this different from that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How is this different from what the Pentagon did last year when they suspended some joint training exercises with the Indonesian military because of questions about human rights abuses by the special forces?
Well, the exercise program that we have with a variety of nations is but a piece of what is typically a broader relationship between the militaries of the United States and another foreign nation. So that's just one aspect of that, Jamie.
What won't be happening now that would have happened had you not suspended the military relationship?
Well, there'll be no planning for any future exercise activity. There'll be no exchange of liaison officers. There'll be you find the military-to-military relationship quite helpful if the circumstances are appropriate. We just don't think that it's appropriate, given the circumstances, that that relationship continue at this point.
Are there any Indonesian military officers here in the United States attending any of the universities that will be asked to leave the U.S. now?
We are researching that right now, Barbara. That question came up this morning. We don't know the answer yet.
If there are Indonesian military officers in this country, are they going to be expelled?
We'll take a look at that carefully, figure out what the specific circumstances are, and make a call at that point.
What about students at the service academies?
Ditto. It would include the same thing in any level of training in this country.
What about I assume Indonesia has a military attaché attached to its embassy. Will the military contingent be expelled?
No, that is a different element than a military-to-military relationship. That is under the rubric of diplomatic relations within the embassy on a diplomatic basis. So no, the defense attachés would not.
Do we currently have any military people in Indonesia other than our own security guards and people attached to the embassy?
No, we do not.
Was there any
Now, let me amend that. As a follow-on to what Barbara asked a minute ago, if we have any Indonesian students in this country, we also, with the same token, are checking on whether or not we have any U.S. military in various Indonesian schools. And I don't know the answer to that yet. We are researching that as well. Pam?
This message was delivered last night. That's what Shelton said. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And the 3 Marines that are attached to the UN, would they be called back?
No, they are with the UN contingent there in East Timor. And again, they are also not a part of the military-to-military relationship.
And what are the conditions now for restoring military-to-military relations? What does Indonesia have to do?
We have not gotten to that point yet.
Is Pentagon ready if asked as part of the international force in East Timor?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If there is an international force to be sent to the East Timor, is Pentagon ready?
You're asking about U.S. To any military involvement in East Timor. Well, as Secretary Cohen said yesterday, we don't envision sending any ground troops, but the Australians have approached us asking about whether or not we could support any sort of a force they might put together in logistics, communications, intelligence, and strategic lift. And we are considering that, although no final decisions have been made on that at all. And of course, we'll consult with the Congress before doing so. But those are the areas of discussion as we speak.
That's only with Indonesian approval, is that right?
Well, we have said that the conditions must be appropriate for there to be a UN force to be inserted into Indonesia, and that would be with the Indonesian government's approval and welcoming such a force. First and foremost, we still look to the Indonesians to take care of this themselves. But second, the international community is prepared to do something in the way of helping out this situation. But it's got to be on a basis that the Indonesians welcome such support into their country.
Are there any foreign military sales that are affected?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll take that question. I don't know.
Will you also take the question of what exercises, programs, or any of that sort of thing was part of the mill-to-mill relationship and give us some specificity by the end of the day as to what now is canceled?
Yes.
Is this just basically symbolic, or are there certain programs now that are ongoing in the works that are going to be brought to a halt and people will have to leave immediately?
Well, I guess I'd take the specifics of that as part of Barbara's questions, and we will research specifically what's entailed here. But we don't consider a military-to-military relationship with another nation as symbolic. It is substantive at every level, and there is a very good reason for doing so. And in this case, we think there's a good reason for suspending that relationship.
And the other question then is, are you now asking other nations in the region to suspend their military-to-military relationship with Indonesia?
No, that is not being contemplated to the best of my knowledge.
Could you just spell out what the reason is for suspending the mill-to-mill relationship?
It's broad, although in general, we just don't think that this is the right thing to do given the current situation. It's just inappropriate to continue a military-to-military relationship that in our view is not doing enough to contain the violence in East Timor. It's fully within its ability to do so, but they're simply not. And that's not a military that we feel we can sustain a military-to-military relationship with at this point.
If Indonesia have asked officially or unofficially in any manner the Pentagon's help in any way in this crisis there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Craig, there have been rumors that the military may be looking to seize power there, or at least to knock out, push aside the civilian government. Are you getting any information that would indicate that?
No, I'm not. I have not heard that. Any other? Yes.
Rick, over the last couple of years, can you give a sense of how extensive the exercises have been, so we have a basic comparison, whether this year's ratcheted up? Or...
I can, but I need to do that in the context of Barbara's answers. We'll have an answer on that for you before the end of the day. Tim.
New topic. Russia, the extent of Russian corruption is starting to come out, the organized crime, further instability in Russia. Can you walk us through a little bit what the security concerns based on all this phenomenal lack of stability there are? Any missile security risks?
In a broad sense, we've expressed our concern over the years in any nation. That's why we are so much the proponent of a stable situation in governments and nations around the world. Unstable relationships, unstable governments, unstable nations just do not provide the sort of environment that the United States thinks is the ability to thrive. But the Russians have shown over the past several years, in what has been a very difficult time for them as they transition to democracy, that they have maintained control of their military, both their conventional forces and their nuclear forces. And we find that absolutely appropriate and essential, of course, and remain satisfied that that is the case today. Now, the other issues you addressed, Tammy, it's the crime, the corruption. It's just something that this building does not get involved in directly.
Craig, can I go back to Indonesia for 1 minute? Can you tell us who actually makes the decision to suspend mill-to-mill? Is that Cohen, Clinton, Shelton? And when exactly was this done?
The military-to-military relationships are entered into after a thoughtful consideration process. And you've got the chairman involved, you've got the Secretary of Defense involved, you've got the Secretary of State very much involved, but the principal decision, Secretary Cohen, General Shelton, because it is clearly within their area of responsibility, and that's the military-to-military relationship.
So I'm just asking the specifics in this instance. Was this a decision that was reached last night or this morning, and who actually put pen to paper?
I can't put an exact time frame on it. It was within the last day or so, but I don't have an exact time.
And just, does that mean it's a joint sort of Cohen-Shelton decision?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
And Admiral Blair delivered this message last night?
Personally. Yes. I think this morning our time. This morning their time. Sorry.
He told the Rwanto at that meeting it's suspended.
Yes.
Did you get any kind of response from Rwanto? Any suggestion that they were going to do something?
I don't have a characterization of that, Dale. I don't know.
Do you know if there were other issues that were discussed besides the military-to-military relationship?
Certainly. The whole, I mean, again, repeating the plea to get control of the situation, use the military forces that are under General Rwanto's command to regain control on East Timor. Many of the messages you've heard before, but it was, a very personal way of delivering the message in a region of the world that Admiral Blair has responsibility for. So it was a fairly brief meeting. I think it was something like 30 or 40 minutes in length.
For any type of assistance, either direct or indirect?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Craig, back to the beginning, you said that Mobile Bay, O'Brien, and O'Brien were in Darwin, and Killaleo, I guess you said, was on its way.
I showed they are underway. I'm sorry. Mobile Bay and O'Brien are underway. And again, this is the...
If they were importing Darwin, are they in the
Timor Sea, between Australia and East Timor.
Were they sent down there specifically because of the unrest in East Timor, or were they on a normal ops?
There's an exercise with the Australians called Crocodile 99 that I think starts here in the next few days. They were positioned there to conduct that exercise. So it was good timing in the sense that they were in the vicinity.
What sea is this again?
The Timor Sea, Timor. It's the body of water between northwest Australia and Timor.
Are they underway for the exercise now or to participate in some
I
sort of
don't think the
evacuation?
exercise starts until the 12th, I believe. They're underway until the 12th, which is this Sunday, and then they make a port visit to Darwin before the actual exercise commences.
So why are they underway now? Are they getting into position near Timor for a reason?
Well, you're in the Timor Sea, you're in the vicinity, but I will have to check on the specific tasking they have.
Would they be launching shells on land or offering evacuation services? What is it that they would be doing?
Yeah, I will take that question. Yes.
In case you respond to the request from Australian government, are you going to send U.S. forces from Okinawa or the forces in the ships?
Well, that's a couple of steps ahead of where we are right now. I mean, again, specifically, the Australians have asked for those 4 areas, and we're discussing that and considering that, but in the very early stages.
Thank you.
Tom?
What's the status of the Vieques panel? When are they going to file their
Mr.
report?
Rush is still writing his report. We would expect that in the near term, but I can't give you an exact date. But I know as of this morning, it is still being written, literally.
Do you have any sense, Craig, of what the hang-up is? I mean, it's been we've been told it's being typed for a week or 10 days now.
Well, that's not the characterization I would use. I mean, Mr. Rush is being very fastidious in the preparation of this report. He wants it to be right and thorough and very comprehensive, and that has taken some time to accomplish that.
Another topic. What's your latest information on the situation in the Taiwan Straits? Certainly we know it was some heightened tensions there in recent weeks.
I don't think too much different than what Ken briefed a couple of days ago, less than we had seen. That's encouraging, but I don't have anything substantially different from Tuesday.
Are there any forces, U.S. forces, naval forces, that are still in the vicinity there, Taiwan Straits?
Well, typically stationed in Japan and Okinawa, so I guess yes, in the sense of in that region, certainly, but nothing that is staged anywhere particularly close to Taiwan or China in the sense of that you're asking the question, I believe. No.
Craig, in terms of northern fly zone, there's a retaliatory strike today, and it just says coalition aircraft. Can you give us anything on what type of aircraft? Were they just U.S. or were they U.S. and British?
I don't have that. We'll get that for you. We'll get that for you. Thank you.
Thank you.